the next wave of retail talent is being nurtured to lead this change. With perspectives spanning finance, operations, and organizational leadership, this conversation will offer a holistic state of retail and an overview, and anchored in action, agility, and foresight. Please welcome to the stage David John, ex-People and Culture Director of Flowwood and Talabat, George Gaston Garcia, GM of KSA of Brands for Less, Julio Dal Dosso, the Regional Director of Finance and Operations at Hugo Boss, Aben Avner, the Chief Growth Officer of Styly, Maqsood Mohammed, Founder and Chairman of AFM Holding, Osama Alam, the co-founder and board member of The Roasting House, Jana Zera, Director and People of Culture at Chalhoub Group, and your moderator is Josefa Salawala, Director of Sales the Middle East of Zebra Technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, your panel and your moderator.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. And we have got a very distinguished panel over here. And as it was suggested in the introduction, that this is a view that is inside out. So while we hear the CEO's view, the panel that we have here is actually a specialized panel in their own field. So we have in this panel people who are managing people's organization, nurturing talent. We have technology enthusiasts who are impacting the way technology transformation is driving the business outcomes. We have got operational insights who are ensuring that the new format of retail, the new trends are being addressed in the right way for the organization to be successful. Now, before we get into that, I wanted to share with you some very interesting facts and figures about retail industry in Saudi Arabia. Most of you may know it, but it's just a memory refresher. And for those of you who don't know it, this might come as a very interesting or rather very intriguing part of your knowledge journey. So there is something called 85% factor. Does anybody from the audience tell me what 85% factor means from the Saudi industry perspective? Anyone heard the 85% factor? I don't see any hands going up. Okay. By 2030, female consumers are projected to account for 85% of all discretionary spend. Did we know this? So big hands to them, all the female consumers, because this reflects a massive shift in the economy, that is reflecting the true participation of the female workforce and their integration into the society. Second interesting fact is a cashless kingdom. So Saudi 2030 vision had certain benchmarks or milestones to achieve towards becoming a cashless economy. Does anybody know that 2025, what does that percentage stand at, approximately? Anyone with a loud answer? 20%. I wish 75%. That's very near. It's actually 70%. So the recorded data available says that 70% of cashless transaction has already been surpassed in 2025. Since we are talking about different formats of retail, there is e-commerce. And e-commerce is like a rocket ship. E-commerce will make 46% of all retail sales by 2030. And why we call it a rocket ship? Because just in the year 2020, e-commerce was only 6% of the total retail sales. And it will skyrocket to 46%. Another interesting fact, digital shopping experience. We all do it, and our customers are doing it. So when we walk into a physical retail store, our customers are shopping on their smartphones. They're checking for best offers, they're checking for product information, they're checking for online offers while physically shopping inside the store. So that's increasing. And that's increasing because another interesting fact that Saudi Arabia is the youth engine of the region. Over 65% of the Saudis are below the age of 35. And that's a big challenge to the retailers in this region, is how do you quickly adopt to address this new wave of shoppers that are coming into your stores. So those were some interesting facts and figures. And we have a very distinguished panel here which will walk us through what changes they have done, how they are driving transformation, and what is their thought leadership. And as a result of the change, what are the outcomes? So my first question goes to you, Abhinav. Abhinav, you are from Stylee at the Landmark Group. Right. So Saudi Vision 2030 is redefining retail, and we have heard some information around the digital payments. Now you look at logistics, we have spoken about female workforce participation. How has this transformation shaped Stylee's growth story and, more important, the talent strategy?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Josefa. I think it's a very, very interesting space and a very evolving region right now. All the factors that you called out, for me, sums up to one thing. And I keep saying this in multiple places. It's no longer e-commerce, it's social commerce. Customers are not transacting on a platform, they're engaging with the platform. They're exploring options. There are people who are just filling the cart to recommending it to their friends. They're seeking recommendations, they're seeking validation. They're listening to a lot of content creators. In fact, most of the customers that we get on our platform are not through our direct performance advertisements. It comes from a lot of the content that we create across social platform. How real is it? How engaging is it? Is what drives traffic. So things are changing. A lot of payment options is what we are evolving at right now. We're looking at many of these payment options being available to our customers in a region which used to be pay week to pay week. Now, during mid-month itself, we have started seeing a lot of intent building up. So all this excitement is there, and delivery experience is a big part of it, where we are talking about same-day delivery in Riyadh or the next-day delivery in other parts of this region. But to maintain all of this, to insist on that high standard, to make sure we are best in class, Stylee, which has been in this region for almost 5 years now, and most of our customers are driven through repeat or retention, which means we need to be credible for them. For this to happen, we need to build a culture which allows experimentation, which allows listening to the customer, and to have a very strong huddle mentality. So for that, given that the region has a lot of young customers, our team needs to have, don't go by my age. Most of my team is half of my age. So they're much younger, much vibrant. How do you keep them motivated? How do you ensure that the right forums are available for them to bring up their experiments and their discussions? And that's why we follow a very non-rigid, fluid structure in an organization, where we allow them to come together, experiment, and deliver results.
So you spoke about you having a team which is half your age. Did I hear that correct?
Yeah. Don't guess my age now, Josefa.
No, I'm not guessing your age, but then can I apply for a job? Because I'm just looking at the age factor out there to be part of your team. But interestingly enough, we spoke about the statistics, right? That Saudi Arabia has got 65% of its population, which is at a particular age and the youth age. And you spoke about nurturing a culture which is best in class. So my next question to you, Jenna. You drive human resource at Shaloop. And we are talking about Saudi Vision 2030. And to make it successful, participation of the local Saudi talent is very important. And with all this young generation that we have, part of the major part of the population, it must be a big task to onboard Saudis, train them into leadership position. But that's something that I understand from my conversation with you is an objective that Shaloop is looking at. How do we nurture the local Saudi talent to get into the leadership role? So could you share more information how you're doing it and what has been the impact of that change?
Certainly. So first, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here amongst these amazing panelists today. So to answer your question, yes, we do recognize the changes that are happening in the retail industry alongside with the 2030 vision. And we view that not just as a market opportunity, but also as a people opportunity. So our strategy is focused on Saudiization with purpose, moving beyond just quotas and fulfilling them into retail talent and building those capabilities. So today we're developing intentional talent pipelines, if I can say that, through different kinds of initiatives. One can be our Shelhoub University, which is basically design programs that are offered to our workforce, and also our national graduate program, which focuses on finding, high caliber, fresh graduates that have the potential to grow. So we're investing early in these talents, equipping them with, let's say, world-class skills in terms of luxury, digital exposure, and experiential retail. So these strategies have definitely yielded some results. If I'm going to look back at the data from our group in 2019, we had national representation across our workforce at just 29%, versus today at a whopping 80%. And in terms of our management representation of nationals, back then it was just 10%, versus today we're at 36%. So you can tell that these deliberate efforts and conscious adoption of all our leadership has definitely played that role. And our goal remains, and it's quite simple, is to create a generation of Saudi retail leaders that not just lead on stores successfully or manage those stores, but also they shape the culture of retail and they elevate the customer experience across the region.
Thank you very much, Jenna, for sharing that. So what has stood out in what you just shared is we are just not looking at Saudiization count from overall employee statistics perspective. You have differentiated and said 80% representation, but even in the top leadership position, from 10% it has, or 5% it has grown to 36%. So
Yes.
that's very, very encouraging in terms of how Saudiization has been adopted across by the Shelhoub group.
Yes.
So David, if I were to ask you, where is David? Yeah, I can see you now. Sorry, David. Yeah, and now I see you after you've put your glasses on. David from Flowered. Now you specialize in HR execution. We talk about human talent, which is HR. How do you build that into the corporate strategy?
All right. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. So I think we need to start by understanding why do we need to incorporate HR into strategy. The reason being is competition has become really complex nowadays. Customers have become incredibly demanding. So one of the best ways to gain an edge or an advantage is to actually introduce efficient and good benchmark people management skills. All right, let's jump into examples. I like to give examples, not talk theories. A common trend right now is innovation. All companies want to have one of their values, the strategic values, as innovation. Now, in a company, once you say innovation is one of my strategic values, you're not going to find ideas flowing immediately. No, it's going to take time. It needs infrastructure. Innovation, in order to have innovation in a company, you need to allow people to experiment. Experimentation means learning from mistakes. So imagine in a company where you constantly have people afraid of being fired. You don't provide that psychological safety. There is a mindset of blaming people when crisis happens. You're not going to get the ideas. You need to really give people that psychological safety in order to have innovation in place, in order to have products and designs newly offered to be presented to the customers. That's one example. Another example is you want to design offerings and products that really match customer needs and it resonates with the market. In order to do that, you need to have people who are active listeners, who understand perspectives of different people. I've seen in a lot of companies, a lot of leaders and maybe even employees who just have a difficult time listening. And in the end, whatever offerings or products or even customer journeys they design is completely disconnected from people. So in order to really have that competitive advantage, you need to have people who are listening. You need to have leaders who empower innovation. And this is where HR comes in to filter people and filter selection to have the right type of people in your company. This is one of the ways how you can connect HR to your corporate strategy.
Thank you very much, David. Interesting. If I would summarize that, stability is important if you have to drive any initiative. You spoke about innovation as an example, but you have to take the fear of everything else out of the employee's mind so that they can focus in terms of driving the results on innovation.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? So let me connect that back to you, Julio. By the way, Julio, you're wearing a very nice suit there. Any guesses from which brand that is?
Maybe Hugo Boss, okay. Maybe.
Is it because you're from Hugo Boss, so you're compelled
Correct.
to? Okay, but it's a very nice suit. Julio, just picking up from that example, stability, okay? And David also spoke about empowerment. I know when we were interacting, you did speak about empowerment and delegation right at the level, employee level within your organization. So how is that affecting the talent that you have, the talent pool that you have, or how is it that motivating them? And what is the business outcome it has resulted into? Could you just throw some more light on that, please?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And it's a very good bridge from Jenna, where she was speaking about the importance of focus on talent and the psychological safety that David mentioned, how we implemented this in Hugo Boss. We take three words that are very important. The trust, so we distribute trust along all departments, all functions, all levels. Trust gives you a very high speed of execution and increase the level of delegation, you mentioned correctly. And when you delegate a lot, people feel empowered. These three elements, trust, delegation, and empowerment, allows our entity in Dubai now as a regional office and very soon in Saudi, because we want with the project of 2030 to double our business in Saudi, to have a real fast execution-driven strategy that allows the talent and all the people in the organization to be more effective. And when we are coming in a beautiful country like Saudi, we want to have other two key words in our strategy, no matter it's from the operation or from HR, is flexibility and adaptability. Yes, Hugo Boss is a more than 4 billion company, German-based, but we don't want to pretend to come here and make the German law. We want to be flexible and adapt to the local culture. Of course, we have the Saudization that it's a real important factor to take into consideration, but this element will allow not only our organization, but all the fashion and the retailers that we have in this panel to allow Saudi to be success in 2030.
Great. Thank you for sharing that insight. So if I understood that correctly, you want to double your sales in Saudi Arabia by 2030, you said, and the success that you have achieved in other markets in terms of enabling, empowering your employees is the success that you want to bring into this market.
100%.
Am I correct? Great. So if I connect the same conversation to Osama,
Yes.
We have you, Osama. I love you because I will need coffee after
of course,
the break.
we got you sorted.
So Osama from Roasting House, there's a reason why I'm connecting you with coffee. When I was talking to you, you were telling me earlier that in your organization, the founders and the owners are in fact thriving to make their employees better than the founders themselves. So the thought process and the leadership that you are bringing to the organization, you want your employees to think forward faster, better than the founders and take the company to the next level. How is that working for you? And what are the results that strategy has produced for your organization?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me as part of today's panel. I think the the retail forum here is a driving factor towards retail achievements that we have seen over the past 5 years. So it's always great to be here and meeting like-minded people. I'd like to thank the Association of Restaurant and Cafe Owners who are present here, including Ahmed and Engineer Abdullah, who is the president. as well as the Saudi Retail Forum, Mr. Amitabh, and everyone else here. One of the key factors that we have developed over the 10 years is a development program for our team through a training facility that is a fully functioning cafe, but dedicated to the team themselves. In order for the team to be able to speak the language of coffee, they have to be coffee lovers themselves. If they don't necessarily like coffee every day, then they need to learn how to make it, how to content create, how to take pictures and videos. And so we've started to hire a variety of ages and, of course, nationalities, but with a focus on localization. It's not just a mandate by the government, it's the fact that the vast majority of our business comes from locals consuming our coffee. And so we realized that over the 10 years that we have been in business 2 years ago, so we are now 12, 13 years in business, we realized that we are focusing on quality, the customer, the story, how the coffee was grown, the processing techniques, the quality of the packaging, but not the customer experience per se. I thought the customer experience was dependent on this. But me, being double the age of most of my employees are, I realized that maybe we're not catching up with what the society necessarily is demanding. In 2019, we looked at 18,000 registered commercial registrations in the coffee industry. In 2022, that went up to 47,000. In 25, this year, 85,000 registered commercial registrations in the coffee industry. So we're saying cafes, roasters, everything in the entire ecosystem. So the best way for us to start reaching out to this audience is hiring the likes of Abdurrahman. Abdurrahman, he is half my age, and his manager is, I claim he's half my age. He's at the back here, Rida. Abdurrahman, can you come and share some of the items that I have here? So we spent 10 years developing our products, the quality, the story, but not the packaging. So 2 years ago, we started to hire young generation like Abdurrahman, saying, give us ideas, give us thoughts. What can we improve in terms of packaging? So the very first thing we looked at is experimental packaging. شكراً حتى هنا. Experimental packaging. We went from our solid classic packaging to something a little bit more playful, or actually a lot more playful than I would think. More playful, more colorful, experimental with processing and names as well. We used to call them Ethiopia, Colombia. Now we're calling them raspberry cheesecake, strawberry bubblegum, all the different playful techniques that the customer, the younger generation, who are 65% of our audience, anything below the age of 35, want. And then we said, what else do they want? They need speed and convenience. Everybody here is talking about nationalization, empowerment of the young generation, creativity, and in the previous session, Engineer Abdullah Salam, he talked about the empowerment, giving the younger generation as well the ability. So we said, let's do something creative, existing, but with a different approach. So we launched envelopes that you open and you use the coffee straight away onto your cup. That looks clean. It's divided into two halves with one filter in one side and the coffee on the other side. This immediately won us Best New Product Award in 2024. So the recognition gave us an idea that the way we are moving forward is the way that the customer wants. These packaging, within 4 months, they outsold our #1 selling coffee, which is a standard classic approach, half the price of this. So this is double the price, more playful, even I think triple the price of this. It's about 125 riyals, and our best-selling coffee is 35 riyals. So within 3 months, it outsold. Why? Because we thought outside the normal coffee box. Then we decided to be a little bit more playful and launched honey that's infused with espresso. So we talked to even a different audience, a younger audience. Now we're looking at 35% of the Saudi community being gym goers, being lifestyle, people who are caring about the lifestyle approach, healthier approach. So we said, how do we tackle this? How do we sell more coffee, but tackle this as well with the approach of coffee? We launched honey that is infused with espresso, our own espresso. This is now going to be registered as a patent product. So empowering the young generation, giving them the idea to be better than you, not being scared or conservative. If they are better than you, then they can take the lead forward. 2 weeks ago, my team gave me a design for one of our new branches. I loved it. I said, this is beautiful, this is classic, it's clean, I loved it, let's move forward. But before, let's discuss with our marketing team, who are half my age. And everybody, what do you think they said? We don't like it. They don't like it. They are the target audience. So had I have gone with my design, maybe we wouldn't have succeeded. So empowering, not being afraid to take constructive criticism, being open to feedback, I think this will be an ideal approach towards the future of retail, inshallah.
Very, very interesting examples that you gave there. And I can relate this to two recent experiences. First, I'm a coffee lover. I drink 4 or 5 cups of coffee a day. And I definitely am in the age group that looks at different kind of flavors that go into the coffee apart from drinking a classic roast. But, you know, just to highlight to you how things are changing, me and my wife at home, we had an argument about how to make the cup of coffee. I love brewing the coffee, grinding the beans, taking its time to prepare it. She's a fan of coffee, but she's a fan of a one-click button. You need an automatic machine in the house, which you press a button and the good cup of coffee comes out, right? She won the argument. I had to buy an automatic machine at home.
As they do always.
Yeah, you can't argue with the minister of the house. But I was also in my office yesterday, and 2 of my colleagues are sitting here, Abdullah and Ahmed Rifat, and we were yesterday debating what kind of coffee machine we need in the office. And they said, coffee is coffee. What we have here is fine. And I said, no, you need to go for a different experience. And I remember telling them that there is, you know, in the seasons, you will have gingerbread flavor coffee, you will have peppermint flavor coffee, and you should try and elevate your taste buds beyond that. But very interesting examples that you've shared with us. Thank you so much for that, Osama. So coming back to our conversation, we heard from Osama how they are training their people, and that's driving the innovation at their end. If I were to just connect this back to operational excellence, and Abhinav, this question is for you from Stylee Landmark Group perspective. So I know that, you know, Stylee operates with the agility of a pure play e-commerce player, but you're enveloped under a larger organization, which is the Landmark Group, right? So how do you build a culture that encourages agility, ability to move fast while driving operational discipline that is required of a larger group? Could you share with us some perspective?
Sure. I think that's the core of a pure play e-commerce, especially when you're dealing with a very younger audience. There are 2 things. One is agility in terms of understanding that you cannot apply the same rule across all customers. You need to identify different customer cohorts. You need to look at their browsing affinity, their category affinity, their content affinity, and iterate quickly. I think unlike an offline model, pure play e-commerce, where customers are consuming content on the go and taking real-time decisions, we need to iterate very fast. So the thing that we discuss in the team always is first rule is let's not believe that what we are doing today is going to be done tomorrow. Which means what we do today, we need to take signals across different platforms, across different touch points, and then learn from it to iterate tomorrow. And tomorrow could be something very different. So that's one. Second is, I think an extension of this piece, social listening. When we talk to customers as marketeers, I think we tend to preach a lot. Versus when we are listening to what customers are conversing about, the key buzzwords, what are they consuming, what are they getting exposed to, we change the way we communicate with them. I'll give you a couple of examples. So we were trying to pick up the top fashion trends and build a content campaign around it. And we realized, thinking about coffee right now, that food trend is something that is lurching on to fashion trends. So, trends like mocha mousse, butter yellow, these are the kind of things that we're picking up. And we redesigned a complete campaign to match that. The brands that work with Stylee are looking at that kind of local, relevant content communication so that they can ride on it. Else everybody can give you the right price and can do a lot of performance marketing.
So, talking about the right content going on top of the messaging, we will shift the conversation slightly towards technology, right? And obviously these days, no conversation is complete without the mention of the word AI, right? We're talking about coining some concepts. AI is one of them. In fact, I used AI this morning to actually bring up those interesting facts and figures that I shared with you at the beginning of the session. My next question is to you, Maqsood from AFL Holdings. We are talking about e-commerce, right? Abhinav is here looking after e-commerce. We heard good story about e-commerce. When I was talking to you, you said AI commerce. You have termed a completely new terminology, e-commerce to AI commerce. What does that mean? What's your idea behind it? Please share it with us.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, now we are actually into the new era of the technology. So everyone know about e-commerce. So now we are into the era of AI commerce. AI commerce is basically an artificial intelligence commerce. But artificial intelligence commerce is not just a tool. It actually predicts the intuitions of the consumers. It personalizes what the user requires, and it actually builds up a complete portfolio for a consumer. So that's actually, now if you look at everyone, so everyone, time is an essence. Like what you said, Saudi has got about, the young generation of 35 years, all those people. So most of them has the value towards the time. Now time is something which is very powerful and which everyone values. And as a brand or anything, we always look at what can we offer in terms of technology. So let's say if someone just going and browsing on a web browser, and he goes into multiple sites or multiple applications where it spends a lot of time. So with the AI commerce, it makes it more simpler. So where the user just gives what is his, the choices, and AI builds around that the kind of products that can be evolved. I think that's something which the AI commerce is all about. And when we talk about technology, most of us always had that, when the technology comes in, there's always a threat to human. Actually, it's not a threat, it's a complement to the human. Actually, AI is just a complement to the human, where it optimizes or it increases the efficiencies. When actually the computers were started, there's a lot of people said that there's going to be a lot of job cuts because machines are going to take over. But in fact, you have seen, after computers came in, there's a lot of opportunities were created. So there's a lot of jobs were there, and there's a lot of new ideas, new technologies, new innovations came in, which actually turned the whole face of how people look into the technology. I think AI, for me, it looks like it's not a threat to any of the humans. It is just a help to a human, wherein they can be more precise and the time efficiency can be managed. Like what you said about the psychology, especially when you're working in an organization, there's always, when there's a technology coming in, the staff, the people who is working for you, they'll have that fear of losing their jobs or anything. So at AFM, what we did was we upscaled their skills into, making them learn the new skills so that they can become our digital assets. So basically, that's, I think, something which, as a company, we always wanted our employees to adopt to the new technologies, so where they can be more useful to us. And now, as in, AI, for any entrepreneur, it's an opportunity. It opens a door as an opportunity. And for consumers, it's a place where they are saving time and like an intelligent shopping, which transforms into intelligent shopping for them.
No, thank you for sharing that, that transformation word from e-commerce to AI commerce. I understand it better now. You also spoke about efficiencies and around time. Time is an important factor. You did touch upon how the technology is not replacing humans, but actually helping humans. Now, one aspect of that technology, and this question is to you, Jorge. You have been associated with Inditex. You have been associated with Max Fashions before. Now that you are at the helm of affairs at Brands for Less or BFL Group. From technology perspective, and I'm tying that back to what Maqsood said, how it has impacted time, operational efficiency because people do their jobs better. You have driven RFID technology. Inditex, in fact, is a big success story globally about how Inditex changed its brand value or its image as a result of adoption of RFID. How has, from your experiences, RFID-driven organizational benefits brought impact to the business? And what, from that, are you bringing into BFL to transform any of those parameters?
Well, we are talking about AI, but AI won't be possible without RFID. RFID was the base of, as they say, the truth. It brought the visibility, it brought the base where all this new technology is linking. So it transformed the business in a sense that we never thought how we used to do business without the liability and with the information we used to have. RFID technology, I'm sure everybody knows, but it's radio identification. And it's as simple as having one item with one particular ID, and some devices that can be at the warehouse, can be at the store, can be at the stockroom, that is constantly asking, who are you? And the tag that is in the garment is just saying, I'm XYZ123. Something as stupid as this has completely transformed the business. We used to manage the business with a big level of inaccuracy between theoretical and real stocks. We used to manage blindly the business. And when we are talking about, for example, in Brands for Less, we have full automatization of the warehouses. So we have full robotics that now are linking the RFID with the boxes that needs to be prepared to the stores. In terms of technology like magic mirrors, when you are going to one store and you are putting on a hanger, automatically this mirror is reading you the item that you are having and is offering you cross-selling different options and is allowing you to ask for one size without any interaction with the staff. This is thanks to RFID. When we are talking about, let's say, the combination of the visibility, that is the RFID, with the intelligence, that is AI, that is what brings the future of retail.
So Jorge, definitely it has driven efficiencies. You have said AI today is possible because data collection was enabled using RFID. If you never had visibility, you never had data, you would not have AI giving you the information that is needed. And across the panel, we have touched upon the basics about fear of humans losing jobs to machines. And then we have heard about that technology is here to complement rather than replace. From that perspective, next question to you, Jenna. At your group, you are also looking at how technology is complementing the work that humans are doing, elevating their efficiency rather than looking at replacing them. So do you have some good outcomes to discuss in terms of where this approach has been impactful and has helped rally the fears of the employees?
Yes, so to start in the beginning, we believe that in today's digital world, the luxury experience still remains deeply human. So AI and automation surely help us work smarter, but it is designed, as he said, to enhance, not to replace the personal connection. We do use insights or digital insights to strengthen clienteling, for example, and on all points in terms of in-store, online, or even on social channels. So this ensures that we still keep that interaction personal, yet it becomes more seamless. And we invest a lot in clienteling training of our people, for them to learn how to use the data, for them to learn how to use the technology to help them build those human relationships, but they will upskill them in a sense that makes it stronger and lasts longer. So just to sum it up, of course we use automation and innovation into everything that we do today in Shalhoub, but it is our people who make that lasting impression and who create and maintain that loyalty with the customer.
Great. So humans will coexist. We all will coexist alongside the technology as long as we can. And again, coming from the technology background, I strongly believe when we look at ethical AI, it is just going to drive efficiencies, making work better for the humans. So I think, again, AI is always there. It's the most important word today. And Julio, from your company's perspective, it is one of the top 5 pillars for growth, AI, again. How are you, or Hugo Boss, looking at adoption of AI? Where will you see AI impacting your results or driving the outcomes that you desire in your growth journey?
Yeah, you said correctly. It's one of our 5 pillars in our strategy. But I want to tell you something. Don't forget that Hugo Boss reached more than 4 billion euro. LVMH, my previous employer, 85 billion euro company. And we reached these figures without AI. So this is a very important statement, right? Now, how we are leveraging on AI to accelerate the progression. Jorge mentioned logistics. I think all the operations and finance are now tackling massively with automation and AI, with the quality of data. If the data today is not good and the quality is not excellent, you will not be able to use AI. We come from a world where, for me, the technology was very reactive. Data analytics is existing for more than 15 years, probably 20 years, but now we are entering the predictive phase. You mentioned correctly all the human elements that must be in the store, but thanks to the AI and the predictiveness of the AI, we will go to the hyper-personalization that we have spoken this morning in few panels before. And the third and last part where I want to share with you where we see as a fashion company the massive usage of AI is in the creation of the products. I always say today, if you have the chance to walk in a creative director unit, you will see organized chaos where on a table there are thousands of pictures, fabrics, mannequin, where the directors invent something. But with the quality of the previous data, now they are able to predict the trends. So yes, we still needed their brains, right? We still need them to create something, but it will be more faster, and the predictability will allow us to find the right collection, the right jacket, and the right skirt for the consumer right now, for the future.
Great. So I will not need to spend much time inside your store because the system will tell me what's best for me. That's what it looks like.
You can spend quality of time. You will spend better time in the store.
Right. But it takes away the stress. So when I'm in a stressful situation, I don't make wrong decisions picking up what's right for me. So thank you so much for that. We are already in the red zone in terms of time, so I still have a lot of questions to ask. So I will request brief answers from all of you so that we can finish on time. Maksud, coming back to you, we spoke about Saudi Vision 2030. I know you are building a marketplace app which aligns with the Saudi 2030 vision. What is that?
We have recently launched a marketplace called Funky Souq. Funky Souq is a ready platform. There's a lot of moving into e-commerce and other things. So there's a lot of SMEs who would be spending a lot of time in terms of developing an e-commerce platform. What Funky Souq does, it's a marketplace where it can be adopted by any SMEs or enterprise organizations. So it makes it much more easier in terms of implementation. So if you want to develop something on a marketplace, you don't need to spend about 7-8 months of development and then maintaining that infrastructure. So what we do as Funky Souq is we created a market space wherein all the suppliers or small companies, SMEs, retailers can adopt the platform. So this is going to be one of the easiest way to enter into an e-commerce platform. Instead of spending a lot of time, you just plug and play.
So it aligns with with the 2030 vision where the SMEs are being encouraged in a big way, local talent, local businesses are being encouraged, and what you are suggesting is the Funky Place provides them a cost-effective way of an early start or a jump start rather than having to spend time to build anything organically. That's what I understand from what you're saying.
Exactly. Basically, the time is an essence for any organization. If they want to come into a digital space, from a physical to digital, the transformation is something which is made easier on the Funky Soup.
Right. Thank you for sharing that perspective. One thing that I had made a note of from your presentation about customer experience, right? And you did give some statistics. While you have spoken about how efficiently you have driven customer experience with the packaging, with the names that you have given to your brand, have you done anything else inside your operations or inside your stores to drive other ideas around customer experience?
Well, the first thing that we've done is move towards automation. So automation helped us into increasing our production and quality. So the automation helped us to increase from 2,000 kilos a day to 10,000 kilos a day with less workforce involved. This allowed us to also move this workforce into doing a lot more efficient items, including shifting them to stores where they can help customers and engage with customers primarily. Second thing we did with regards to automation and driving innovation is, of course, applying the power of AI to support with the design. So we launched a character, or we designed a character that's going to be launched very soon. That motto is about the roasting house. It's about the fruit flavors that are represented in the coffee. So the characters will be based again on the fruit that this coffee represents. So we'll have a blueberry as a character, and this is an exclusive. We still have not launched it, but it's exclusive for this panel and attendees. It will be launched at the end of this month, inshallah. So the customer experience driven by automation, driven by AI, driven by enhancing the website guest experience and user interface has helped us devise ways where the customers can go into the website, much like Hugo Boss experience, find out what type of coffee they want. With just a couple of questions, the AI directs them to the AI tool that we have developed, which we are now in the learning phase, targets them towards the coffee that they feel they like. So more acidity or less acidity, more bitterness, less bitterness, dark roast, light roast, Saudi coffee. This helped the roasting house consistently stay ahead of its game.
On that front, we'll look forward to that blueberry flavor coming in the market
Inshallah.
For coffee. Thank you for sharing that with us, Osama. I know this is not yet announced. So do you need to sign NDA with everybody here in the room?
No,
that they don't take it out?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that. We are out of time, but I still have two questions, and I'll quickly ask you, and I'll appreciate a quick answer because it's important for the audiences to understand this. We're talking about customer experience. Jorge, from your perspective, you are using digital marketing and influencers to attract customers. Very quickly, a summary of how you're doing it and what is the impact of that on your business.
Well, it is one of the biggest traffic drivers for us, but I will summarize into two actions we've done this year. In 2024, we were pioneers to partner on the region as the first retailer to have AI influencers through Mayasen and Jude. And this summer campaign has completely been made by AI. So at the end, it's not an important part. It's becoming now the reality for us. We have physical influencers. We have physical shootings and campaigns, but AI is just the beginning for us. So we are really focusing on this.
It has made life a lot more easier. I've started creating short videos using AI with all my ideas, so it does help. Thank you for that insight. I think just last question, and this one is to you, David. I think I'll conclude with you because you gave a very passionate example of human talent. How do you nurture, how do you allay fears of people so that they can drive innovation? So while you were telling me, here's my concluding question to you. How does one build culture and leadership to coexist with changing technologies and customer expectations?
All right, I'll try to be quick and concise. So what we did, I'll basically say our experience. So number one is awareness. We actually created awareness. To make transformation, we need to basically let the company know where we are at and where we want to be. The first thing we did was a survey to measure how good or bad the culture was. Now, interestingly enough, we found out through the survey that trust between the executive team scored a 3 out of 10. So trust level that low, you can never make any change happen, which is why we had to pivot a bit and start working on the human connections. Now, a lot of us really undermine how important human connections are to make transformations easy and to make resistance a lot less. So we did a retreat with all the top leadership team, almost 40 plus people. For 3 days, we had to build trust, we had to build engagement and so on. Now from there, now you build trust, which is very good, but in order to do an efficient cultural transformation, you need good leaders. You need leaders that represent your values. So either you bring in strong leaders or you upskill the current ones, which is what we did. Lastly, the fourth step and the final step is we incorporated processes that reinforce values into our day-to-day. I'll just give one example, I'll conclude. So as an example, let's say as a team, we are used to blaming each other. So from now on, as a process, and this is a process, in our meetings, we don't blame, we discuss solutions. Any blaming or any feedback happens one-to-one, not in a group setting. This basically kills that negative vibe that happens, but this needs months, maybe years. So it's not easy. So 4 things, I'll just summarize what I just said. Number 1, awareness, human connection, leaders, process. I hope that was quick and concise.
Very, very interesting insights. Thank you so much. I wish across the organization, the team has the liberty to choose their leaders rather than leaders choosing the team. But
we have a saying, we're not a democracy.
No, but thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the panelists are here in case if there is anything interesting that you would like to interact with them or get more insights. And dear panelists, thank you for that lovely session and sharing your thought leadership and insights. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.